How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation, and in today's video, we are going to break down everything there is to love about the PS5 Pro and everything there is to hate, because unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff to criticize with this thing. We're going to start out with the biggest pain point with this thing, which is the price of $700 with no disc drive and no vertical stand. So if you want to get the disc drive and vertical stand, you're going to be paying $810 for this thing plus tax, so more than $810. I know the prices are different in other territories like the Europe area and Japan. I can't think about that. I can't think about Canada. I can't think about Europe. I understand that you guys are paying more than we are, but here in America, $810 is what you're going to pay to get the disc drive, the stand, and the console, and people are not happy about that. And as someone who's 31, grew up during the launch of the PS3, this is giving me throwback vibes to that era, because if you didn't know, the PS3 came out, it was $600. They had different SKUs with different hard drives and everything like that, but the main reason it was $600 is mainly because they put the entire hardware of a PS2 in it. They had extra ports like memory stick duo, memory stick full size, SD slots. They allowed it to work with printers. They let you install Linux. They threw in a bunch of features that no one who had a game console or wanted a game console really cared about, and they paid the price for it. But when people look back on the PS3, the key reason that no one wanted to buy it for $600 outside of the price and the optional features that didn't matter to most people was the fact that the launch lineup was paltry. It was hard to develop for. There weren't a lot of third-party ports, and the first-party games were not good enough. Like, you got stuff like Heavenly Sword, Lair. There were a few other games that came out with it, like GT5 Prologue, which was decent, but they didn't have a big heavy hitter until they started releasing stuff like Uncharted. You know, like, there was nothing that was like, oh, I gotta go out and buy a PS3. And ironically, we are in a very similar situation with the PS5 Pro. Now, the caveat is, of course, this isn't a necessary upgrade, right? Like, this isn't a next-gen machine. It's a pro model of the current PS5. The current PS5 is still powerful. It's still going to be supported. So if you don't want to pay $700 at minimum to get this thing, you're not necessarily going to be punished for it. You're just going to have to pick between performance mode and quality mode, right? Like, whereas the goal with the PS5 Pro is to just give you a performance and quality mashed together mode that runs the game at really high resolutions with a lot of the PC features turned on, but still can hold 60 frames per second. But because of the way Sony announces things these days, which is just so infuriating, guys. Like, they just announce things without games. There are so many first-party studios that have been working on games for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and they have been nowhere to be seen this generation. What is Naughty Dog working on? What is Insomniac working on? What is Ben Studio working on? What is Santa Monica Studio working on? We have no idea outside of the leaks that have come out because Sony is remaining dead silent. There is virtually zero reality in which this is the way the console should have been announced. This should have been announced the exact same way as the PlayStation Portal and the PS5 Slim. At the end of a state of play, at the end of a showcase, show me games that I'm going to get excited for my current PS5, and then show me games that I'm going to get excited to play on the PS5 Pro in November when it launches. It's just that simple. I don't know who is calling the marketing shots over at Sony, but they're doing a bad job. The one bone I'm going to throw Sony here is at their price point of $700. I don't think there's any game they could show off that would get people as excited to buy this thing as they were the PlayStation 5 at the end of the PS4 generation. Like, that is a very high price point for a console, but I really don't know what people's expectations were, if I'm being completely real, because you got to look at the reality of the situation here. The world was shut down for multiple years. Component prices went through the roof, and they just haven't come down because of the explosion of AI, the explosion of cars using the same chips now as consoles and PCs. The amount of chips that are there is not enough to cover the amount of devices that need them. So the companies that manufacture these chips are saying, hey, we're just going to keep the price high. We're not going to lower them like we traditionally have in other generations. So that's why you haven't seen the price of the current PS5 drop. You've actually seen it increase pretty much everywhere across the globe because Sony, Microsoft, Valve, and everyone else are essentially being held ransom by these chip manufacturers who refuse to lower the price. So when you take that into account, this thing was never going to be in the $550 range territory where I think people really wanted it to be. $600 I think is a little bit more believable, but honestly, I feel like $600 $650 to $700 was always the range this was going to be in. I talked about it how I wanted it to be in the $550 to $600 range, but that was wishful thinking. It still is wishful thinking now that we know the price, but I've always predicted that this thing was going to be at minimum $600 or $650 because of the reality of the world right now where everything is just massively expensive. But calming things down here a little bit, I also play on PC. I know what PC components cost. If you want to get a graphics card that's on level with the PS5 Pro or a little bit better than it, you're paying at least $700, $800, $900, all the way up to $1,500 just for the GPU alone. Then you've got to worry about the CPU, which is a couple $100. Then you got to worry about the motherboard, which is a couple $100. Then you got to worry about the RAM, which is a couple $100. You got to worry about buying an SSD, which is at minimum like $80 or $90. You got to buy a case. You got to buy a monitor. You got to buy a keyboard. You got to buy a mouse. You got to buy a desk and a chair to sit in. So the cost perspective there of playing on a PC, which is the performance that the PS5 Pro is trying to get closest to, I think you're still going to sit pretty good knowing that you can just buy this console, plug it into your TV, power it up with the controller, install your games, and just be good to go, because everyone already has a couch with the TV set up. They don't have to buy all of these extra peripherals that come with buying a PC. And for me personally, someone who has played on PC for a long time and has enjoyed 60 FPS for far longer than console players have, like I've been playing at 60 FPS since the PS3 generation, right? Like that's when I built my first gaming PC. I was kind of sick of 720p games. I was kind of sick of like 20 to 30 FPS. I spent a little of the money I earned during the summer building my first PC, and I was blown away playing games at 1080p, high and ultra settings, 60 FPS. I got used to that. So during the PS4 generation, I played a lot of stuff on PS4, but like a lot of the multiplayer games, like first person shooters, stuff my friends were playing, I gravitated towards PC because I wanted that 60 FPS experience. And then Sony kind of opened Pandora's box this generation by allowing the PS5 to run so many games at 60 FPS. I mean, Mark Cerny said it himself during this technical showcase. 3/4 of the people playing on PS5 automatically default to performance mode because they want that 60 FPS gameplay. So Sony kind of dug themselves into a big hole there by releasing so many cross-gen games for the vast majority of this generation in partnership with all these third-party developers. They got people used to running games at 60 FPS, and if they want to continue to do that with these true next-gen games that are only going to be available on the regular PlayStation 5 and the PS5 Pro, they need to make hardware that accounts for that difference in performance. Like me, someone who has a PC with a 4090, an i9, and 32 gigs of RAM, I can't run Space Marine on my PC at 60 FPS because it's so CPU bound. And this situation is even worse on the PlayStation. They needed to upgrade the hardware, and if you're upgrading the hardware while components cost as much as they do, you're going to get into that $600, $700 range extremely quickly. And just to be clear, this is not me justifying the price. I still think it is exorbitantly high, but you got to keep in mind that this is not made to replace your PS5. This is made to be for people who want to keep that 60 FPS benchmark, that want to get the maximum performance out of PS5 games, that just want the best possible performance across the board. They want to mix that quality mode and that performance mode from top to bottom. And if you want to do that, you're just going to simply have to pay for it. I guess I have shell shock or like Stockholm syndrome from having to pay thousands of dollars. Like my laptop was $3,600 to get the performance I want out of these machines. So for me, $700 compared to $3,000 from a gaming laptop honestly doesn't really seem all that bad, but I can completely understand that if you've been used to $400 or $500 or even going as low as $300 or $250 for the Series S or the Nintendo Switch, yeah, sticker shock is going to hit you hard when you see $700 for this console. And that's the objective side of the fence, but from a fan perspective, I am so excited for this machine. The one game this year that really pushed me over the edge when it comes to, you know, wanting good performance but also wanting acceptable graphics levels was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That game looks like Play-Doh when you're playing it at 60 FPS. I think it looks fine for a console game, and since it's exclusive to PS5, I really have nothing to compare it to in terms of a PC port or anything like that. But in the beginning of the game, it looks pretty solid in the 60 FPS mode, and for the most part, it keeps a rock solid 60 FPS, like for 99% of the game. So they deserve to be commended for that over at Square Enix 100%. But as you make your way farther into the game and you get to the points that had less development time, they just keep cranking that upscaler, that FSR2, to the maximum level. They go all the way down past ultra performance, and that means it's running at 720p internal and upscaling to like 1440p or 4K at certain points. And when you stretch an image that far far, especially on my 75-inch TV that I have upstairs, it looks like mud. Like the actual hair textures look terrible. The grass textures look terrible. The rock and ground textures look completely stretched out and muddy and Play-Doh like I just don't really want that performance. So I bumped it down to the 30 FPS mode. And if I'm going to get that good performance that also looks good out of the PS5 Pro with specifically games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I'm throwing down my credit card day one, man. Like I want the same performance that I get on my PC or as close to it. And for me, the only way I'm going to be able to do that is by paying $700 for a PS5 Pro. I'm also at a little bit of an advantage from a hardware perspective as well, because I bought a PS5 Slim last year on launch day, and the PS blog was very explicit that the currently available disk drive is going to work with the PS5 Pro. So instead of spending another $80, like I'm replacing my PS5 Slim for the most part with the PS5 Pro. I'm taking the disk drive out of the Slim and just popping it in the Pro. I don't care if I have to run it without a faceplate over the disk drive. Well, it comes with the faceplate on the disk drive already, so that should just work fine. But even if I couldn't use a faceplate, it wouldn't really matter because my PS5 Pro sits behind my TV. I don't even see it. So yeah, I'm glad that I don't have to spend another $80. I have a lot of digital games. I also have a lot of physical games, physical stuff, and basically everything I play will be on the PS5 Pro. And then when my wife wants to watch The Bachelor or these reality shows about swinger Mormons or whatever, I can come down here in the basement, move back down to the PS5 Slim, and play my digital games like Gran Turismo 7, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2, 3, like X, Y, and Z. I have a lot of the PlayStation 5 ecosystem games, both digitally and on disc, because I have an addiction to buying physical copies, but I want to play stuff on release date. So multiple times I end up buying stuff twice, you know, like I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. So if you want to get the biggest discount possible on a PS5 Pro, I've already had people talking to me in my messages on the PSN of how they should do this. And I've thought a lot about it. And here is what I would do as someone who has scrounged for cash before, as someone who has had to trade in stuff to GameStop in favor of getting Amazon gift cards to apply to my PS4 pre-order, as someone who's just very cheap in general. You're going to take that PS5 Slim, you're going to pop the disk drive out, you're going to order a faceplate for the PS5 Slim that goes on the side and effectively turns it into a digital model. That's step one complete. After that, you're going to take that disk drive, you're going to put it in a very safe place until November 10th when the PS5 Pro comes out, and you're just going to leave it alone. Then you're going to take that PS5 Slim and you're not going to trade it in at GameStop for a pre-order. Do not do that. Do not do Best Buy. Do not do GameStop. Just sell your PS5 Slim as a digital model on Facebook Marketplace. You'll get the most cash for it, and you'll definitely get more than trading it in. Like, you'll get the most money. I sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace all the time. The people I bought my house from left like 5 beds in here. They left a bunch of furniture. I sell this shit like crazy. I put it up, people come buy it in minutes. You can also go in groups, like look up your local group and just post your PS5 listing. You'll definitely get the asking price on a game console. You won't have to haggle or do the whole, well, will you take $50 less? And then when they get here, $25 more or less, whatever, just get the bed out of my garage. You won't have to do that with a PlayStation 5. Then the next critical step is pre-ordering your PS5 Pro. Order it on Amazon. Amazon does not charge until the console ships. And critically, you're going to want to do this before September 26th because that's when pre-orders open. This is only if you are planning on getting a PS5 Pro. If you don't really care, just hang on to your PS5 or PS5 Slim. You're going to be fine. But if you want the PS5 Pro, sell your PS5 Slim before September 26th on Facebook Marketplace. Get that cash ready because on September 26th, you're going to have to pre-order the PS5 Pro. Do it on Amazon. Amazon does not charge until they ship the console. So you'll have the pre-order for free until like November 8th or November 7th when they charge your card and ship the console out, and then you'll already have the cash ready to go. So you're going to take that cash, you're going to go to GameStop, you're going to go to Best Buy, wherever you can get Amazon cards, convert that into Amazon gift cards. Once you have the pre-order, you can apply those gift cards to the pre-order, and then the difference is what you're going to be charged on your credit card when the console ships, which is great. So that's the best way to get the cheapest PS5 Pro if you already have a PS5 Slim. If you don't have a PS5 Slim or you have a launch PS5, the situation changes a little bit. You have until September 26th to sell your launch PS5 with the disc drive on Facebook Marketplace. Buy your disc drive now. They're available on PS Direct. I have checked multiple times throughout the day while I'm recording this video. Keep that disc drive in a safe place. Do the same thing. Take the cash you got from Facebook Marketplace selling your original PS5, apply it to the pre-order you get in September 26th, pay the difference, and you'll get a cheaper PS5 Pro. Or, you know, do what I'm doing. Keep your launch PS5, keep your PS5 Slim, pay $700 for the PS5 Pro. If you don't have a disc drive in your PS5 Slim, make sure you get the disc drive now. have it ready to go for launch, and you will be sitting pretty on November 10th when your PS5 Pro shows up. You won't have anything to worry about. I'm just like torn apart inside right now because on the one hand, I am so excited for the PS5 Pro. I'm excited to get these 60 FPS games. I'm excited to get this new upscaling, the PSSR tech. I'm excited to play the quality mode of games at 60 FPS. That's all I really care about. It is awesome that Gran Turismo 7 is running at 8K on the PS5 Pro. I'm sure it's at like 30 FPS, but if I had an 8K TV, that would be awesome to try out. Don't buy an 8K TV. You're not going to be playing a lot of games at 8K with this thing, and if you are, they're going to be aggressively upscaled from like 1440p or 4K to begin with, so like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I'm excited to go back and give Alan Wake 2 another playthrough. I'm excited to finally play Dragon's Dogma 2 because that's one of the supported games. I'm excited to play The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered because that's supported. The list of games they have ready to go for launch is like 50 to 60 games long. They need to do a showcase, man. They need to, like, I don't want to stay to play. I want to showcase. I want to see what the first party is working on. I want to see what these third party devs are who are holding their game back for the PS5 Pro. They have waited far too long to announce these games, and I don't care what the justification is. Show them early. It doesn't matter. People need to know what they are going to be excited for. That's how you're going to sell the PS5 Pro. I don't care about selling the PS5 Pro. Sony's going to make money at the end of the day. I really just care about being excited for games that I'm going to play on it. And leaks aside, I have no idea what I'm looking forward to on the PS5 Pro because Sony does not talk to us, and I don't understand why. It is the dumbest marketing strategy on planet Earth. Out of all three console manufacturers, I don't like how Xbox does it, where they fly by the seat of their pants on everything, but honestly, that's even preferable to what Sony does, which is just not talk to their fans. It honestly comes off pretty disrespectful. But yeah, that's everything to love and hate about the PS5 Pro. I know people are heated from that $700 price tag. Take a step back, pop a Zyn, grab a White Monster, grab a Diet Cherry Pepsi, grab whatever drink gets you happy, and then think about whether or not you're going to buy this thing, but you can still complain about the price because I know I will be all the way up until November 10th when I get this thing. And in my review video, my unboxing that I'm definitely going to do, you know I'm going to bitch about that price. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you in today's video. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and shape on.